what's this bear trap? Okay. Well, we know that every single cycle, Bitcoin pretty much does the same thing. Okay. We have a lot of up and downs, but then we also, you know, move kind of in the same pattern, and I'll get to that what I'm talking about in a bit. But this one also shows that we are in the bull. I guess we have bottomed out, right? It looks like we went into bear territory for a little bit. We have bottomed out, temporary bottom, a local bottom, and now we're ready to go higher, right? So that's what this is showing, right? So that's pretty good. But this was what I was talking about, right? Like in terms of like every cycle, we go through kind of the same thing. And I've shown you guys when zoomed out, a lot of cycles look very, very similar because we have kind of like these steps, right? Going from the bottom, like bottom of crypto winter is like total accumulation. And then you have a little trend, upward trend, right? Then you have a little shakeout and then you have a momentum building. First sentiment extreme, I would say first sentiment extreme was when we topped out at 73,000, right? Like we broke through our previous high and everyone's getting really FOMO-ish, right? Euphoria. And now we have come back down, right? Now we're at 60,000. So I would say this is 100% accurate that overall we have just set a bear trap. Right? A lot of bears came out. When we fell down to 49,000, a lot of bears came out. A lot of bears say, well, we're going to go down to 30,000, right? We may even see 20s. But, you know, obviously that didn't happen, right? I bet a lot of shorts piled on. I don't have to bet on that. I mean, we have data. We have $15 billion worth of shorts piled on now, okay? Leading up to $70,000. We got $15 billion of shorts, short contracts. That's only up to 70,000, right? So obviously, I would say this is a bear trap. But then what happens after a bear trap? Renewed optimism. That's when we finally get to 73,000 and break through. Then we have FOMO, and FOMO could carry us well into 2025, maybe like around the March, April timeframe. And then we have euphoria. And that's when probably Bitcoin tops out around $200, $250, $300,000, right? And then we can come back down if we're following a normal cycle, right? Whenever we have that top, actually, when Bitcoin comes down, like the shoot access or bull trap, that's actually when altcoin season starts. Normally speaking, altcoin season is just the last few months of the cycle. Normally when Bitcoin have topped out, that's when the money goes into altcoins. So a lot of you guys are talking about like, when is altcoin season gonna come? It's actually, it comes after euphoria. That's usually when Bitcoin actually starts coming down, when it loses that liquidity, that's when alts like skyrocket to the moon. Just temporarily, just a little bit. But here's the thing, going all the way down, are we gonna see the same thing this time? People have also asked whether we are going to have an extended crypto winter just like previous cycles. The answer is we may not this cycle. And the reason being are those institutional investors. If they're holding billions or tens of billions of Bitcoin, are they going to time it where once euphoria comes and it's about to go down, will they just like panic sell everything, just like retail investors? And lead us back down to like an 80% drop from top? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. These guys, they continue to buy whenever we have big dips, right? So if they see like a 30% dip, what these institutions are going to do, they're going to start buying up the supply. They're going to buy more. So if that's the case, you always have an ever-ending buying pressure from the institutions. Then are we really going to see Bitcoin fall 80% like last cycle? Maybe not. Maybe we just see a 40% or 50% before we just recover right back up. So all this about breakdown, fear of capitulation, bottom fishing, despair, that may be a very, very short time frame going forward, right? So that'll be interesting. That'll be very, very interesting. But anyways, I think We have set a bear trap. Bitcoin has set a bear trap. Okay, that's my point. I do believe that this is a great time to be accumulating still, to be holding, obviously. And we know Bitcoin's going to come back up. And everyone's going to forget about what has happened, right? But if you took advantage, you won't forget because you'll be making gains afterwards. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Every single time we get a lot of FUD. Every single cycle we get a lot of FUD. But then we go back up. Like I've been saying, if you look at the halving events and you look at when Bitcoin actually moves, it's usually like 6 months after a halving event. We have never ever broken through a previous high before a halving event. And we did so this year, this cycle, right? So if you're complaining about, well, why has Bitcoin been stuck and going sideways for so long, just know that we're already ahead of the cycle. Just look at the last cycle. Look at the last cycle. It wasn't until like September, October before we started moving up, but we didn't break through the previous high until the following year. And it's the same thing if this chart went back further in 2017, the same thing. Bitcoin didn't start moving until like November timeframe, and it took a whole lot of time before it even broke through the previous high. So this time around, we're just ahead of the game, right? If we were following previous patterns, Bitcoin should be around like 40,000 right now. And then after September, October, when we start moving, we have a chance of breaking 69,000 by the end of this year or early next year. If we were moving according to previous cycles. But no, we're not. We've been kind of spoiled because we broke through $69 so many times already. And that's because of the ETFs, right? People that argue, well, ETFs have no effect on Bitcoin, that's baloney. The reason why we're so ahead is because so much of the supply has been bought and removed from circulation by the institutions, by the likes of BlackRock. That's why we're ahead of the game. So even though, yes, it may seem like, oh, okay, we're coming down, it's looking bad. No, we're not. We're actually way ahead of the game versus previous cycles, right? So again, nothing has changed. And when we do finally go into that last parabolic phase of this cycle, you'll be glad you're in, that you're in the game and you've been DCing all along, because this cycle will probably bring us not only in the six figures, but way in the six figures. 200, 250, 300. This is showing we're going to $400,000 by the end of 2025. That's just next year. We're not talking about 10 years from now. We're talking about next year.